you always got to be aware of your time horizon. Can you hold out being 3 years in the red? Can you also, you have to make sure you're buying relevantly strong companies that will perform long term. That's a whole different debate. Will you need funds in the next time period? How long is your time horizon? And does it give you anxiety being in the red?
People will see a small pump up and decide not to buy. So like showing a reversal in the market from a previous bear market. And they see a small pump up and then they're like, oh no, like, it's going to go back down. Let's wait for that and then we'll catch that return to get the support. And then that never happens. It just goes up and then they end up missing their buying opportunity. Welcome back, everybody,
to another week
of your favorite crypto podcast.
Sometimes Crypto.
The Unscripted
Crypto Podcast. Hey, yo.
Yo.
We are cooking good looking.
We are always cooking. News always be rolling, and the excitement never stops here. So, if this is your first time
let's start off with
tuning in,
Oh,
hold on. If this is your first time tuning in, I suggest you give us a follow. Why? Because you do not want to miss out on all the information that we drop on a weekly basis. And I think sometimes we crack some funny jokes, but that's subjective.
Apart from Alex's life.
In my life is pretty funny.
Well,
I see some weird stuff. All right, so William, what were you gonna say?
Irrelevant. So this was supposed to be done yesterday, but we had technical difficulties. My earphones were dead and I didn't have a charger. So because of that, things changed from the time we were going to record to when we're recording quite dramatically.
Honestly, I'm kind of thankful that we waited because I like this news way better than the news that if we recorded yesterday, it would have been kind of like a bit of a bummer type of episode.
Yeah, because everything would have been outdated by
immediately.
Today, by yesterday afternoon. So
immediately. So what happened? Because I'm pretty sure everyone is already aware.
By the time whoever watches, you already know. Trump announced 90-day pause on all reciprocal tariffs, except for China. He's like, we're gonna kill them.
Yeah, essentially the only people that we're actually in a trade war with is China. Partially because China is like doesn't want to cooperate. Everyone else got the pause because they have been calling some type of American representative their counterpart. American counterparts is the
they're negotiating.
Peace.
They're talking with the White House to not have these insane tariffs put on them. Pretty much so. Yeah.
So I think the crazy part is what you mentioned. How on I think you said Monday, how markets are doing really good.
Before we get into that, let's you have to explain what was going on Sunday night, which I don't know if you were aware.
I'm probably not.
Which what? So Sunday night, the crypto market, since it was only market open, started to dump hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we saw Bitcoin hitting 74,000. So everyone was calling for what's called a Black Monday. Essentially, Monday was going to open and it was going to be blood red. Everyone was afraid of circuit breakers being hit. So for all those who don't know, circuit breakers are essentially the stock price is falling so fast that the market's halting, that the stock market halts trading to prevent the price from falling so dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they go in intervals, meaning there's a 15% drop, circuit breakers turn on, 15-minute halt. If the price continues to drop, I think another 15%, prices again start, another circuit breakers hit. And then if there's a third circuit breaker hit that day, market closes for the day early, and then you reopen on the following day.
So I'm not too certain what the second and the third one are percentage wise. I
don't know the percentages.
I don't think it's 15. I think it's like another 5, maybe 10% from where it's, I think it's 5 actually. And it has happened relatively recently, a couple years ago, for certain stocks.
Happened during COVID, right?
Yeah. So usually it happens for like specific stocks, but the news was so bad on Sunday that it was possible for it to happen like almost across the board.
Yeah. So No, I would say, so there were circuit breakers hit, but just not for the U.S. stock market. I believe Japan's circuit breaker were hit. There were other countries that were pausing, that were doing 15-minute halts on the trading day for Asia time frame and London sessions. So everyone's fear were U.S. is going to open, it's going to be ugly, and it's going to go bad, which rightfully so.
At the time,
entire market, because at the time,
that was a feasible assumption.
Assumption late at night before U.S. market open.
Yeah.
So U.S. market decides to open, and I believe it's like an hour within the U.S. market open. Things are not dropping hard, but they are slowly bleeding down, and that's when we get what Alex was talking about. That important news was the U.S. market announced.
It wasn't so much.
It wasn't announced. It was
a speculation.
It was reported by but it wasn't speculation. It was reported.
Like, there were multiple accounts
saying.
I see. It was a leak of sorts.
It was, people were saying it was a leak. It was fake news, whatever. That they're putting a 90-day pause on tariffs, which caused what we saw that day, a green spike up during U.S. session during the morning. Quickly thereafter, 30-40 minutes, it was announced that it was all fake. The U.S. is not pausing tariffs for no one, and that even the press secretary announced that we spoke with Trump. There is no pause in the near future. We're full tilt on these reciprocal tariffs,
which was a lie, because literally
a day and a half later.
They announced a
90-day pause on tariffs.
For the majority of tariffs that were announced.
For all reciprocal tariffs, except for China.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get that announcement, Trump decides early in the AM, like early in the morning before the announcement, to say it's a great time to buy his media company, DJT. And then the market decides to open. Yeah, and then he decides to announce
the
90-day pause at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Guy was literally pumping.
And then the market rallied. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the market rallies hard.
Insider trading right there is what that is. Straight directly from the president. That's wild.
No better way to get it.
That is, yeah, honestly, yeah. I'm like, for the most part, that's kind of messed up for someone to manipulate the price of their own stock like that. But at the same time, if the president's telling you to do something that it's like for your best interest, and it ends up being in your best interest, can you fault him? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a very divisive question.
Yeah, you're trying to look for fights right now.
Yeah, that's yeah. Mind you, I do not listen to what most politicians say, and I did not buy.
Alex is the number one politician hater,
and I did not buy DJT.
I didn't buy it either, but market went on a frenzy. Tesla's up 15%. The Nasdaq went up like another 9-8%. S&P went up. Nvidia pumped 17%. It was a very strong rally.
For those of you who sold on Tuesday and got the bad news on Wednesday, the tariffs are going to be on pause. I'm sorry for you for having paper hands, essentially, and that sucks for you. But the rest of the world's pretty happy about it.
Yeah, like we said last episode, we are in a risk-off moment because there is a lot of uncertainty. But if you're holding assets long term, the market typically, if you're in a long enough time horizon, you will be fine.
You know, now that you mentioned that, that reminds me of this video that I watched from Graham Stephan.
The goat.
The goat, one of the goats. Yeah, I found him early on. I think his YouTube only had like
he's
5,000 subscribers at the time.
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the first financial YouTubers out there.
Yeah. But essentially, he said that the stock market, he's like, it's a fickle thing, because consistent long term, if you hold for 30 years, you'll make 7%, not 70, 7%. But he also goes on to mention, he's like, however, there's still quite a bit of volatility for the stock market, where every couple of years, like, you see these insane sell-offs, 20-30%, and you lose big chunks of what you've had invested, only for all those losses to be regained in the next couple of years
or two.
Yeah. And then his advice on that was, if you're holding for the long term, and like you're in the green, the markets are okay, or markets are bad, you shouldn't be selling unless you plan on retiring or using that money soon, like in the next 3 years or year, so that, because like you don't want to lose the money and not be able to have access to it before like it starts regaining strength again.
Yeah.
And then that volatility tricks people up into trying to buy low, sell high, and ultimately what ends up happening is people sell kind of low.
You sell low and you buy higher,
and then end up buying high, because fear and greed just ends up pushing your decisions past the point of where it doesn't really make sense anymore.
Yeah, that's why you always got to be aware of your time horizon. Can you hold out being 3 years in the red? Can you also, you have to make sure you're buying relevantly strong companies that will perform long term. That's a whole different debate. But will you need funds in the next time period? How long is your time horizon?
Mm-hmm.
And does it give you anxiety being in the red?
Yeah, so like what ends up happening, he said, is like people will see a small pump up and decide not to buy. So like showing a reversal in the market from a previous bear market. And they see a small pump up, and then they're like, oh no, like it's going to go back down. Let's wait for that, and then we'll catch that return to get the support. And then that never happens, and then it just goes up, and then they end up missing their buying opportunity. And then kind of like the reverse for when it's a bull market reversing into a bear market.
Yeah, it's hard to time the market. It's better to be in the market. Time in the market over timing the market.
Yep. That's why I'm kind of tired of like having conversations with everybody about like, oh, did you buy this? Did you sell this? I don't care. Like I set and forget.
Alex
forever.
is only holding Bitcoin.
That's not entirely accurate, but yes, kinda.
Alex is only holding Bitcoin, and he has no fear.
I have of market volatility, no, not at all. But like, there are people out there who are very fearful about Bitcoin's price, and I believe the bears are kind of in full effect, while the bulls out here are getting flamed by the bears.
Bulls are being flamed. I mean, listen. It's rough out there. The altcoin market is completely destroyed. Alts have bled like they've never bled. Some of these alts are in bear market, permafrost.
Yeah, the alts are
Like they're
not doing hot.
right. However, Bitcoin's still at 80. Bitcoin's at $81,400.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big boy price.
Yeah, but just literally the other day, it was at $74,000.
That was the other day. Today's today. Nah, I'm kidding.
I should have bought.
Yeah, I mean,
I should have bought, but the $500 I probably would have spent, I ended up not doing that.
spending anyways.
Yeah. So that's life, I guess. And then we have the bulls out there who still exist, and I'm one of them, but I'm not the only one. We have the founder of Cardano who had an interview, like a short kind of like interview with Squawkbox. So his name is I might butcher this, Charles Hoskinson. He says that the tariffs are practically just duds, and what's going to happen is America is just going to be in a trading war with China alone, because every other country is going to be open to negotiation, realizing that America is the consumer of the world. So the countries are going to negotiate with America to try to work out something with the tariffs, and the only real tariffs that end up staying would be with China. And then that once that gets settled down, which shouldn't take really all that too long, that his prediction is Bitcoin could potentially hit up to $250,000 by the end of this year or next. Which is quite bullish, if you ask me. Because my original prediction for Bitcoin was, and at a somewhat conservative number, was 150, with a base of like, I guess, 175 and a bull of 200, a bull scenario of 200,000.
Yeah, sounds about right. It sounds like prices we've mentioned more than once.
Yeah, but then this guy said 250,000.
I mean, he doesn't have to sell it, right?
Yeah, you just have to sell it if you want to try to get that monies.
And you're trying to get 250. You have to.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm saying he has to sell it to the people that it's going to reach 250.
Oh yeah, you got to sell it to the people.
That's what I mean. He has to like.
Yeah, there has to be a potential for gains for someone to be interested in buying.
Yeah.
And yet the Bitcoiners out there of the world, they're like, hey, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin, and nothing equals one Bitcoin.
That's also true.
It's like, well, it's not that nothing equals one Bitcoin. Is that all other assets compared to Bitcoin end up getting bigger and bigger, or smaller and smaller. I don't know how's the appropriate way of phrasing that so that the point gets across.
Yeah, I don't know either. I was thinking.
You know what I mean? So essentially, all other assets get more get cheaper when comparing it to Bitcoin. One Bitcoin will get you more of any other asset over time. Bitcoin is deflationary.
I will preface, as of right now, it does at least.
Yeah, as opposed to inflationary, where a dollar over the past 100 years has literally lost 99% of its purchasing power. Are they like building something over there?
Dude, I don't know. It just started. I just started hearing it. I thought they were done with the noise. Yes, like because I saw people moving out the other day. But they're hitting that hard, huh?
William's currently in
I'm in Peru at the moment. Yeah. Lima, Peru.
in Lima. So he's not. That's why.
Did it get a little better now?
That's why you got a little quieter. Yeah, the noise is not allowed, but I can still hear you.
Yeah, but I could just move my microphone
perfect.
in front of my face.
Much better.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Lower. I gotta deal with the noise in the background.
Yeah. So, I think I kind of agree with what the founder of Cardano says. I think it's mostly going to be just a trade war between America and China. America's been sending way too much money to China for goods. Like the trade deficit's way too high. China does not buy anything from
do
America,
buy,
really.
I do agree with you, but we do buy from them because they do produce it cheaper than what we do. So it's
that's what we've been doing.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, like, this trade war isn't also like we didn't favor from it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We got cheaper prices because of it.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing that did happen was we never told China, hey, you do have to also buy something from us and allow our products to enter your country.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is the bigger issue.
So, like, part of it is that when we first started trading with China, there wasn't like that much that we could sell to China because the majority of like Chinese millionaires came about recently, like in the last 10-15 years. Before that, the average population of China was like literally dirt poor.
Yeah, but I mean, there are, we're not allowed, China doesn't allow our car manufacturers to import to China to buy our vehicles. Whether they would buy or not, I don't know, right? They probably wouldn't for the most part, but they still don't offer it, right? They wouldn't, but we still don't sell it. Like, they're still not allowed inside.
Yeah. So
like,
I was watching
apps
that.
Are also not allowed inside.
Yeah, but that's a different.
It's irrelevant.
That's a different.
But if you were,
yeah.
I agree. It is different, but if you're to strong arm China to be like, hey, we will trade with you. We'll keep this deficit, but you have to let our products enter your country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's part of what's kind of what we're trying to do now, I suppose. So I was also listening to the podcast that Andrew Schultz did with some Indian billionaire. American Indian billionaire.
Jesus.
I don't know his name. It's
yeah, but
even Schultz didn't say his name correctly. Even Schultz didn't say his name correctly. But he said it specifically as a joke. But he's also a professional comedian. I don't have that type of finesse, William. Don't roast me.
I wasn't, but Jesus, you don't have to call him an Indian billionaire like that.
He's an American Indian billionaire, is he not? He might not be Indian.
No, I'm not arguing that. But
He's just a little
brown.
saying
the way you said that.
Hey, I don't think you'll have an issue with it. Anyways, in that whole thing. Now I don't even remember why I brought that up. In that conversation that they were having, he mentioned that like the ideology and like the circumstances were kind of different back then, where the trade deficit didn't matter to us because it was kind of like insignificant in the sense that it's not like China was going to be buying a lot from us either way, and letting China profit off of us a little bit will kind of like stimulate and encourage more capitalism in the country, and ideally cause more stability in the future, which is kind of where we're at now. Like, China can produce, they can manufacture, they can provide for themselves, as opposed to before it was like, it's what the government says, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's still kind of like that, but yes.
Well, yeah, but like at least now there's more, they're more, I don't want to say civilized because that's not the proper word. They're more developed.
Westernized.
They're more developed. I don't know if westernized is quite right either, but now that they're a little bit, now that they're more up to speed with the rest of the world, It's like
Yo, you're
now
calling
it's
them slow dog?
No, why you twisting my words? Why you twisting my words?
That's messed up. I know some
so
Asians
now-
that I'll do you in math any day of the week.
This guy. So now that they're in a better situation, we could renegotiate. We could renegotiate, and
Now that
that's
it's
what this is.
the second largest power in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Now that you mentioned that, he also said he's like realistically the two superpowers of the world for the next 100 years will likely be America and China. With the biggest issue that China has is a population that will practically be non-existent in 50 years.
Yeah. Sorry to
Not
quick
because
interruption.
of, not
this
because
is who
of,
we're talking about, by the way.
Yeah, William, you say his name.
I'm not gonna try.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Shamath.
I'm not.
Shamath.
That's why I googled it, and
I don't know. Hey,
I'm not gonna try that last name. I saw that last name. I'm like, I can see why I wasn't put in the title.
Yeah.
Not making fun of you. I'm just saying I see why. I'm sorry.
Look, he's
But
a good-looking 48-year-old
American. Yo, he does. He's a handsome dude, though, huh?
He's good-looking, 48 years old,
He's a
and
handsome dude.
and a billionaire. Like,
He was the owner
dude's
of
got-
the Warriors, by the way.
honestly, that guy probably has very little that makes him mad. He didn't mention one thing on the pod that did piss him off, but that's irrelevant. That was literally because of a lot of money and different situation. So essentially, since I brought it up, he was trying to make sustainable batteries, like large, efficient batteries, manufactured here in America.
To compete with the only two other battery manufacturers.
Yeah, so there's only 2 battery manufacturers in the entire world that make large scale batteries.
Yeah.
And they're both Chinese companies.
Not saying that's a bad thing. He's just saying we should be independent for these large scale batteries from other countries.
Yeah. No, it's good that it's good for China and good for the world that China is able to do that. It's just what would be better.
Need more competition.
It'd be better if there was more competition. Exactly. So he was looking for this whole grant that the federal government was giving to help produce this, and he was it took him 2 years to be able to get a $100 million grant from the federal government, and then I think he got like a $50 million grant. Mind you, this wasn't even his idea. This was like some other person who brought it up to him, and he liked it, and he was like, "Yeah, we'll work on this." So they were trying to get this $100 million grant. First year ended up not getting it. Second year got it. But then the reason why I bring this up is just to say very little things piss him off, I guess. And I don't even know if he was mad, but he definitely something that upset him. Some other person, I don't remember who, ended up getting like $1 billion grant from the Biden administration in 30 days. And he was like, I went through all this rigorous stuff, which he wasn't complaining about. He was just more so like, they did a lot of work and really scrutinized what I was doing for $100 million, which is fine. But to then turn around and give $1 billion to someone else in 30 days, he's like, that's insane.
Yeah, and he also said it was for the reason he gave it. Like they're just gonna buy appliances and put it in low income house. Not saying that's not like a good thing to do, right? But like comparing it to what he was trying to do, which was make an American-made company for large batteries that would technically be used in some sort of, what is the word I'm looking for? National security level, like. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but it's national security.
It's for national security
type of company they're trying to create.
Yeah.
Versus buying appliances to put in homes. I think one could have gotten a $200-300 million contract versus the other getting the $1 billion contract.
Mm-hmm.
Like it should have been flipped.
It should have been flipped. Yeah. So just so that there's no lack of communication or presence of miscommunication, just check out that pod from Andrew Schultz, Flagrant. It literally came out on the 9th.
Yeah, on Monday, I think.
Oh, Monday.
Yo, the dude back here is hitting hard, Don. He started to drill now. He's going in.
Oh, they're probably like renovating that room back there.
Dude, Jesus.
Well, I don't know what you did, but I don't hear it anymore.
Oh, he stops, but every time the drilling starts, I turn off my audio completely.
Okay. I also barely hear you, but that's fine. I'm kidding. I hear you. Yeah, I hear you.
I can always raise that. That's an easier fix.
Yeah.
Am I really that low, though?
No, you're good. Yeah, so...
It's
Yeah, the whole trade thing is...
Yeah. Also, mind you, we're not experts on this. Oh, the knocking started? Yeah. Also, mind you, we're not experts on this, nor just like world geopolitics. So take it with a grain of salt. We do better with crypto sometimes. And even that, we get sketchy on.
Yeah, we get a lot of conflicting information sometimes. We got to do a lot of work to be able to bring you guys like decent information at the very least. At the very least.
Yeah. Well, on that news, though, we do, like, mind you, we are still getting real good, like, just future crypto news, at least from, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, policy, at least we're getting good policy changes. So, I saw this, and this is actually, what? Okay.
No.
So this is from Bitcoin News. Major DOJ update on digital assets. Devs of tools like mixers or wallets aren't liable for users' crime. Only criminals are. The DOJ will no longer regulate by prosecution. The new memo states the department is not a regulator and must close investigations that contradict this. And they posted a whole thing signed from April 7th. I'm just like detailing this further.
Nice. Yeah, DOJ says coin mixers are not the problem. It's the people mixing the coins and being criminals that are
the problem.
Accurate. That's
Which
accurate.
isn't what we always said, that they were the problems?
What? That the coin mixers are the problems? No.
That the criminals are the problems.
Oh, yeah. We okay. Yes, the DOJ finally caught up to our opinion.
That the criminals are always the issue?
It's the criminals. It's not the people who made the tool. It's not the hammer. The hammer's not the killer.
It's the guy using the hammer bashing skulls.
Yes. So, you mentioned something about like how there's always like there is good news for the future outlook of crypto, and honestly, I found out about Florida House Bill 487, which is going into like a committee hearing today, actually, because it was added to the insurance and banking subcommittee agenda on April 8th, and it will be getting some more information on that for today, April 10th, I believe.
Do we know what the bill's about?
Yeah, so let me where'd it go? It's in my downloads folders. I open up an image. Nope, that's not it. So the bill says right now it's a partisan bill. It is Republican led, unfortunately. Status: it was introduced on February 10th, 2025, and so essentially there's like a tracking page to this. On April 8th, it was added to the insurance and banking subcommittee agenda, and it is pending the House Insurance and Banking Subcommittee approval, essentially, where the hearing starts The hearing was on April 10th at 9 a.m. So this already happened. I just completely forgot about it until you mentioned that. So this bill is, to summarize, the authorizes the CFO of the state of Florida to invest in Bitcoin any money from certain public funds, provides limits to such investments, provides requirements for holding such Bitcoin, authorizes CFO and other parties to loan Bitcoin in state funds. So like cities, towns, counties can be like funded in Bitcoin if they choose to get a loan. Requires taxes and fees paid in Bitcoin to be transferred to the General Revenue Fund. Requires General Revenue Fund to reimburse designated funds in the United States currency for such payments. Authorizes trustees of SBA to invest and reinvest available funds of System Trust Fund in Bitcoin, and provides that investments of public funds in Bitcoin are exempt from certain security requirements.
So it essentially is creating a framework to use Bitcoin to transact for public goods in funds.
Correct. It pretty much allows Florida to work with Bitcoin.
Yeah,
it's not a reserve per se, strictly. It just does open up the floodgates.
Yeah, it just goes, we're going to use Bitcoin because we're getting paid in Bitcoin from state taxes, most likely to some degree. So this will allow us to use that money and move it throughout Florida and let other parts of Florida use it.
Yeah, it's kind of like what the city of Miami has right now. In the city of Miami, if you have taxes, like city taxes or like fees, bills, tickets, you could pay those in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Just kind of copying and pasting that framework, I suppose, to the state level. Shout out to Mayor Francis for putting that out there and making that happen in Miami.
The guy's making a beat now.
I have no idea. I think he might. That's crazy. Crazy work in the background.
Dude, this is going to be the most annoying episode in human history.
Well,
I would like to
stop. Yo, come back in an hour.
Yeah, but then he's going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm working.
He's like, you don't talk about...
Exactly.
Hopefully it could get fixed in post-op.
Our editor will have to put a lot of stops for that.
A little elbow grease.
Or a lot of elbow grease.
Yeah. And then what else? What else do we got? I got mostly Bitcoin
So I have some things I saw that Peter Schiff posted.
Oh,
well, I don't have them, but I've seen some of the things he's posted. What's up?
The guy who hates on Bitcoin.
The guy who hates on Bitcoin, hates Michael Saylor, hates on everything. He hates on a lot of things, but not the point.
Certified hater.
He is a little bit of a certified hater. I do think that might be an accurate take. Peter, I don't hate you, but you do hate a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you say?
He was essentially saying that with this 90-day pause on tariffs, it shows that America has no leverage, that they saw that they weren't going to be able to that they cannot continue the so-called advantage or the leverage we don't have, and that basically by putting the pause is showing that we are weaker than what we really are. Let me see if I find the tweet.
That's
exactly
kind of contradictory to what I've been hearing.
So he goes against everyone. Like his point is the opposite point everyone else is making in the world. But and he's been tweeting quite a bit.
I mean, hey, it works out for him somehow.
Okay, so this is the exact tweet. This was posted 20 hours ago. Talk about a spin. This is not how Trump planned it. Scott Bensent is trying to salvage a plan gone horribly bad. Trump has not created any leverage either. If anything, he has exposed to the world how vulnerable the U.S. is to a trade war, so he undercut his perceived leverage.
You pulled up his tweet?
His tweet after... Huh? You want me to share? Oh,
no. I was just asking if you were able to find it.
Yeah, I just read it.
Yeah. That's why I was like, continue. Sorry for interrupting you, William.
Then the tweet that came after that was, today's U.S. stock market rally is a bear market rally and likely an opportunity to sell. 10% across the board tariff remains in effect, and there will be heightened risk over the next 90 days. Plus, the trade war with China is still waging, and the treasury prices are still falling.
Treasury prices?
So the price to buy treasuries are coming down.
Okay.
Okay, so when prices of treasury goes down, the actual price to buy the treasury bill goes down, it means the price, the AP, the yield they pay must go up.
Okay.
It's on APR to an APY.
APY. Okay.
I believe.
I don't know what the difference is.
But the yield that they have to pay has to go up. And that means that whoever buys it, now when they get paid out, is at a higher yield. Meaning if Trump were to refinance the $6 trillion, they have to pay more in the loan once they mature. Yeah. Which that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that money's being pulled out of the stock market and money's being pulled out of the bond market, essentially.
Yeah. Money's being pulled out left and right.
Yeah.
But, I also saw somewhere, and I don't know where, but apparently inflation is like a 2 point something percent, which is lower than what was expected. I don't know if you saw that somewhere.
What?
Inflation? Okay, yeah. So let's see. U.S. inflation falls to 2.4% lower than expectations.
That was this month or last month? That was last month, wasn't it?
Was that? Okay. I don't know. This is just like a notification that I got in a chat from somewhere, and I was like, okay, where did this come from? And yeah, you know what? Scratch that, because that does seem old. That seems super old.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that 2.4%.
Yeah. It looked like it was just something that was brought back up. I was like, again, more down, which is good. Like, you don't want inflation up, but
which we'll see what the numbers show this time, because now we're gonna get numbers from the current administration and what everything being priced in. Oh, so another tweet that Peter posted was, where is it? Surrender, this one. Let me see if I just lost it. Oh, this is from yesterday. Trump is wrong. Foreign producers will not pay our tariffs. Yes, they will sell fewer goods in the U.S. as many American consumers will not be able to afford to pay the tariffs, but they will still sell some goods to those American consumers who can't afford to pay the tariffs. So I feel like there's a little misconception with how much of tariff we're really going to end up getting. Because just because the tariff is imposed, it doesn't mean the consumer's going to be paying that full blunt force of it. Because the companies know they can't raise their products by 40%. Everyone at some level of like the production line has to eat some of the cost.
Yeah. That is gonna happen. That is happening, I believe. The manufacturer, the country
yet.
The countries who are producing, the manufacturers themselves will try to work with their clients who are purchasing in the United States and say, hey, I know tariffs are up for us, for you guys, like 10%. And really, like, the most we could do to help you out is drop our price, like, that we sell to you by
2%.
3%, 2%, whatever arbitrary number. It's probably something small, up 1%.
It might not be smaller. It could
really
be 2% very easy.
Yeah, it could be 2%.
It depends on the margin of the product.
It really depends on the margin, correct? And how much business that's fully depend. That's a case by case scenario. The manufacturer's gonna get a cut there, like gonna take a bit of that there. Then when the importer, whoever is bringing it in, they're gonna know, like, well, I have like some degree of competition in this market. If I raise the price too much, like, it's just not going to be selling. The product isn't going to sell, so then I'm going to end up losing money. So I can't raise the price all that much. The only amount that I could raise it up so that I know I can still sell it is an 8%.
4%.
Yeah, 4%. Well, no, they're probably going to raise it.
Whatever arbitrary number you want to put. It really...
Yeah. Exactly. Also accurate, case by case basis.
Some products get a higher markup, some won't.
Yeah. So it's really is dependent on the product and the type of product and the markup, whatever, case by case basis. So then the importer is gonna have, whoever brought that product into the United States is gonna end up taking a cut there. So not all of it's gonna be taken to the consumer, like the end consumer. That, i.e., you guys listening, anybody that you might know, and ourselves, yeah. Some of the cost is going to be taken by the companies itself, the big companies that have a lot of money, supposedly, and the manufacturer who's selling us the product from that country.
Well, I think you're stopping a little early on the chain. Then you got to go who they source the material from, who are also going to have to take a cut off.
Well, that's also true, because, but that's kind of, that might not. Okay. Yes. I'm trying to formulate my thought appropriately for this. So the manufacturer is going to be sourcing materials from, they could literally be sourcing it from anywhere in the world, right? Even for, like, literally they could even be sourcing it from us, the materials that they're using to make the product that they will be sending back to us. So they would need to negotiate, they would likely try to negotiate with their supplier for the raw material, so that they can either do one of two things: provide a bit bigger discount to their client, the importer, or like not have so much loss on their end, and maintain some level of margin.
Yeah, I mean,
that's case by case.
You kind of confused me.
You're right. You're right. Well, how,
Yeah,
confused you how?
I don't know. I didn't get the last one. You go like not so much loss, but I was confused on what type of loss are you talking about.
Yeah, so yes, the manufacturer is going to negotiate to lower the price of the raw material. And it's either the manufacturer will either do one of two things: pass their gains, that discount, on to the importer, or not pass those discounts to the importer and just make that profit. But at the end of the day, the manufacturer is still going to have a discount, some level of discounting of their product that they're selling to the importer to help with the tariff situation.
Yeah. My assumption would be that everyone would take a price cut to not give the consumer the full effect of the tariff, just because they know they won't pay it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, America does consume a lot, like an insane amount.
America is the largest world consuming population. There's no one bigger, there's no one better, and there's no one better to sell to. Good, whether that's good or bad, right? That's irrelevant. But in terms of companies who you're going to sell to, you rather sell to America knowing that their population will most likely buy whatever the product is.
Yeah. Like the difference is...
whole breakdown. Mm-hmm.
It's just market volume. America has the funds to be able to buy stuff. More so that, like, there's more in circulation.
There's more of the population that's able to afford more of the medium to high end products.
Mm-hmm.
High end, in my opinion, I'm saying, like, I'm quoting as anything above $1,000 something dollars.
Yeah, we're not even talking about like American luxury goods, which are luxury goods around the world, but it ends up being like ultra luxury everywhere else. Lamborghinis, Ferraris, mansions, yachts. Like,
you see, that's luxury.
Yeah, the majority of people who could afford that live in America.
A great percentage, yeah.
Yeah,
but
now maybe not the majority, but a good percentage.
A good percentage. Yeah, so that's why I'm kind of tired of everyone saying, "Oh, we're gonna get so price affected. Like this product that costs $100 now with China's tariff is gonna cost $200, $300." Yes, it will go up. But it's not gonna go up the full tariff amount.
Yeah, but then also it'll likely be produced somewhere else.
Also. Yeah, like they were talking about the iPhone. Like there was speculation that the iPhone will now like double to triple in price. And I saw this whole breakdown. I was like, it won't. Apple has to bite the bullet on some of it. Like there's gonna be more. Like he was explaining that there's multiple multiple points in their what's the word? Production line, like supply chain. There we go. That they're just gonna have to adjust what they're making. Like he goes, if anything, their bottom line will be more affected, which will affect more its stock value and its earnings than anything else.
Yep. Which will light a fire under these business owners and operators, these CEOs, to
become more efficient and become more cost effective.
Yep. I'm kind of sick and tired of all the tariff talk already, and it's only been 4 months of this fucking presidency. I'm sorry. I did not mean to throw that.
Well, I mean, we're not just talking about tariffs. We're also talking about like the production and everything else. But it is caused because of these bullshit tariffs, as you said.
Well, it's not. No, it's not that I think that they're bullshit. It's just like everyone's panicked, and I guess it's
and
just
we are all experts.
And everyone, I don't know.
And we are all experts now.
At first, everyone was an idiot. Apparently, oh, no one knows how tariffs work. You don't know. It's not.
And now everyone knows how tariffs work.
And now everyone knows. Yeah, exactly. Like that. I don't know. I think have just
we are included in those people.
Yeah, stay humble. That's what William said. I don't know, William. I just think I've kind of checked the fuck out already. As in, I have chosen to go with a decentralized currency, and I personally want a better connected world. Countries are motivated by self-interest, and that's kind of what we're seeing now. Countries motivating on self-interest, which makes sense. You need identity to operate. Like, if you're nobody, then like, what motivates you? Nothing, or everything. I don't know. Essentially, join the revolution. Go get into decentralized currencies, and stop caring about politics too much, and you'll live a much happier life. I'm literally carefree. Everyone at work be talking, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
And be like Alex, price Bitcoin in Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah. Price your labor in Bitcoin. How much work do you have to put in to get one Bitcoin? Bitcoin's currently at 87,000, or not 87,000, 82,000 or 81,000? $81,000. If you put in a year's worth of work making $80,000 a year, you make one Bitcoin. Price it in Bitcoin. I don't know. That's just me, but I am a bit of an extremist in the general population. In the general population, in my friend group, I'm actually, and I say friend group, but I haven't talked to them in a while because of
in the three people he talks about Bitcoin with, not including myself.
And it's not three people. I'm in multiple chats. There's a whole community in Miami.
It's a joke.
Community.
It's a joke.
I know. But I'm just saying this for like awareness. So there's communities around the world that strictly follow Bitcoin, strictly follow crypto, and particularly in the Bitcoin community, like, I'm relatively tame, if not like
technically you're a dirty altcoiner.
Yeah, I'm a bit of an outcast in the Bitcoin community, because apparently, like, but I don't know. Life is interesting that way.
What's extreme for others is not extreme for everyone.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. So I do have one more thing that I want to talk about. All right. Because we were talking about bonds and like, well, not bonds, but like, well, whatever. This guy, Pierre Rochard, he was a vice president of Riot. Riot is a
what's Riot? Like, what is that? Riot?
Yes, so Riot is a Bitcoin company that did research for Bitcoin mining. And Pierre Rochard kind of led the whole a whole video campaign on reframing not the speculations, like misinformation, misconception of Bitcoin mining being bad for the environment.
Okay.
So essentially, this guy's been in Bitcoin for a while. He's did a whole campaign on trying to reframe it as it is actually good for the environment, because it is, and try to advocate for more Bitcoin. Essentially, he's starting up a new company called the Bitcoin Bond Company.
Okay.
And it will offer Bitcoin-backed financial products for institutional investors.
So big boy money.
Yeah, definitely for big boy money. Because there's no. I think the only people doing Bitcoin bonds is El Salvador right now. And
I have no idea.
And micro strategy also, kind of micro. Wait, not micro. It's
you mean strategy?
Yeah. Jesus. William, I'm getting there. At least I remembered this week that they changed their name. Last week I forgot that they changed their name.
He remembered, and he went with the micro.
And I got
part,
the wrong.
He goes, wait,
it's strategy. Yeah. Yeah. So, essentially, this guy has a plan, or this whole company? Yeah, is expecting to buy $1 trillion of Bitcoin, or like the next
what?
Yeah, $1 trillion in Bitcoin over the next 21 years.
Okay.
Yeah, not immediately.
Doable.
Yeah.
I was like, how did they? Who has $1 trillion?
No, not right now. Over 21 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Acquired $1 trillion in Bitcoin in 21 years, for a Bitcoin only product, essentially. So essentially, they're going to be structuring their products identical to bonds, but using Bitcoin as the underlying asset.
Okay.
Yeah, which is kind of different from just
that'd be interesting.
Owning the Yeah, it's a little different from just owning Bitcoin for the financial.
Well, you wouldn't be owning Bitcoin there.
Yeah, they wouldn't be owning Bitcoin. They would be holding a bond that's backed by
really
Bitcoin.
What they're doing is you'll be using dollars to buy the bond, which in return they'll be buying Bitcoin with it.
Mm-hmm. And
the assumption is there
time,
the Bitcoin,
they'll sell the bond, they'll sell the Bitcoin for some dollars, and then they'll give you whatever percentage the agreed upon
of the yield, whatever the yield was.
Mm-hmm. Which greatly reduces the risk for financial institutions in terms of setting up the proper infrastructure and making sure that they store their Bitcoin safely.
Which I assume the payment of yield should be in Bitcoin, not dollars.
It could be possible.
It depends how they have it structured.
No, the payment will probably be in dollars.
Then why buy it? Then why not just get rid? Like devil's advocate.
So
why buy it?
Mm-hmm. Why buy the bond?
Why buy the bonds?
Because fixed interest.
But so is a regular bond.
Yeah, but the regular bonds. What's the regular bond backed by?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't change in value.
I understand, but it's just a different level of exposure, of risk exposure.
But there isn't.
Bitcoin.
There isn't. It's the same.
Bitcoin.
Exposure.
It's not. It's absolutely not.
I'm saying it's the same exposure because you're not. What a bond the
biggest risk, which in reality, America doesn't have this risk. It's mostly other countries. Well, I guess America does. Everyone has a risk. The biggest risk to buying bonds is that the government fucking crashes and ceases to exist, and there is nothing securing your bond.
That's it.
Which is possible. Yeah. And then the other one for Bitcoin is the Bitcoin network goes down. Which of the two do you think is more likely, William?
In this current situation, it's above our lifetime, so it doesn't matter.
That's actually a good response. That's actually a really good response. I guess thinking about it like that, that's fair. That's a reasonable point.
I'm not arguing if it's a good product or not. I'm arguing the Bitcoin component just doesn't help it in any way. I'm assuming there has to be a Bitcoin component that's more intricate that we are missing out on.
Oh, probably. Yeah, there's probably a lot more to that. Granted, the company hasn't even started offering any service.
Yeah.
This was like it was literally announced 3 days ago on April 7th.
Yeah. I'm assuming there's a bigger Bitcoin component into the bond that makes it better than a regular bond. I'm just saying 1-to-1, they're about the same. Like it's the same thing.
Yeah, that is accurate.
Yeah, 1-to-1. If you gotta look for the outlier, that's it. You don't gotta get so aggressive.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. I guess what he's trying to do is just develop the next phase of adoption for Bitcoin.
Now, if the product only way you can get into the bond is by Bitcoin, you have to use your Bitcoin to buy the bond, and then you get paid back in Bitcoin. Everything is Bitcoin, and that's a little different. Or it gives you both options.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll have to wait because this is a developing story.
Fair enough. Well, lastly, before I think we wrap up, so I saw some FUD from the Twitter, from the Xverse, talking about how Michael Saylor's strategy did its SEC reporting, and this is a publicly traded company. It's announced, and in the fine details, as always, it's saying that if Bitcoin prices goes below X and strategy is not able to secure any sort of loan or funding, that it may have to sell Bitcoin to be able to pay off its debtors when everything comes to term, like to its maturity, which I'm assuming he's making quarterly or monthly payments to it. Right? That's what the K1 filing had. And there was a lot of FUD around it saying, oh, you see, my strategy's gonna have to start selling Bitcoin, not your keys, not your coins. That whole shebang.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was reported that in every K1 filing it says that, because there's always the risk of the price of Bitcoin going down. So it has to be stated what would happen if the price were to come down.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense.
So if strategy starts selling Bitcoin, that's a hell of a time to start buying Bitcoin. Because they got way too much. They got way too much Bitcoin. They got way too much. Like, you can't let them have that much Bitcoin, guys. It appears to me that people don't like ultra wealthy individuals. Like people like America, I think 90% of the wealth is owned by the 1%, which is insane. Bitcoin is nowhere near that. Bitcoin is extremely diverse and spread out. Like, the wealth is highly distributed, with Micro being like the largest holder right behind Satoshi, and
correct.
We could avoid that. We could avoid that from happening if we buy Bitcoin back from Micro.
Strategy.
Did it again.
Yeah, which I wanted to add that I saw another X post talking about how it's very bearish that strategy keeps on buying all this Bitcoin.
Yeah, honestly, it kind of is. It kind of is. But mind you, they also only have, I think, 3%, 3.5.
Yeah,
something.
But then at the same time, it's like we talk about on this podcast how America should make a reserve and how they should buy 5% of the supply.
Yeah, I say that, but that's also very highly unlikely that America will have the opportunity to buy 5% of the supply.
That bill is getting tossed around more and more. I saw like they gave an update on it.
Well, I'm okay with the bill being tossed around. All I'm saying is, if that bill gets passed,
if it gets
people
passed,
people are gonna hop on so fast that the price of Bitcoin is gonna shoot up. Every fiat currency in the world is gonna go to trash, and it's not gonna mean it. Like, they won't be able to buy Bitcoin because the entire world will realize, oh wait, Bitcoin is now the currency of the world. America will not be able to get 5%. And then at that point, I guess at that point, Saylor would be
the richest man in the universe.
Strategy will be the richest
company in the universe
in the world. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think of. That's why I say, we gotta buy their stuff.
Well, you heard it here first, boys and girls.
You did. We great conversations here on this podcast every single week. Even if we have some noise in the background, we still manage to.
God, I'm so sorry about that, man. My camera's about to die.
All right, well, I'm glad that we're wrapping up.
Subscribe, follow. It's been another week
of your favorite crypto podcast.
Sometimes crypto.
The unscripted
crypto podcast. Ayo.
Ayo.